Hi, this is video number 266. In natural and environmental resources, we are going to discuss market failures. And this is lecture number 4 in a series of natural resource and environmental economics. In this lecture, I'll discuss definitions of natural and environmental resources, then the role of the government, discuss market failure, including externalities, common property resources, and public goods, and then I'll summarize. Many natural and environmental resources have unique characteristics. Some of the economic principles and model we have studied don't work in case of natural and environmental resources, and over the years, various models have been used. Government policies have also been developed. If you look at this schedule on the right hand side, we can see that there are overlaps in the definitions of environmental and natural resources as well as the examples. Hence, the confusion and difference between these two concepts exists. However, we will notice that natural resources do not include services. Instead, they refer to only the tangible things that benefit humankind. It doesn't have a description of or reference to quality as environmental resources do. So, environmental resources combine what is naturally found in the world and human ingenuity. Natural resources are not made or caused by humankind, but environmental resources can be caused by humankind. Three takeaways. In general, and to sum up all, the definitions and descriptions show that environmental resources encompass those that occur naturally in nature and those where human ingenuity is applied. Environmental resources include natural resources, and human efforts are influenced to add more functionality to them as they were found in nature. For all intents and purposes of definitions of these terms, a common purpose or central theme emerges, that is, the environmental and natural resources are there to serve human needs and wants. Hence, in economic valuation, as a branch of environmental economics, these resources will have to be valued to manage them efficiently and effectively. What are natural and environmental resources? Natural resources are products of nature rather than products of industry, and their examples include ores, fossil fuels, land, water, and timber. Environmental resources are the resources provided by nature which are indivisible. Society uses these resources to produce goods and services demanded by the consumers. Therefore, decisions made by the society affect the quantity and quality of natural resources. An important distinction in natural resources is their renewability. Renewable resources are those, if they are properly managed, these resources can provide inputs to our economic system indefinitely. And non-renewable resources are those for which a finite stock exists and society must conserve or find substitutes. A non-renewable resource reaches economic exhaustion when the cost of using it exceeds its value to society. Uh, Example is the cost of mining coal is more that people are willing to pay for it as an energy resource. This is the agricultural interactions. You see, fishermen, agriculture interacts with the natural resources and the environment in many different ways. Farming leads to both water and air pollution, but conversely, pollution can affect farms' productivity, and resources of water and soil are critical to the farming enterprise. The role of the government. Generally, government provides collective goods. Government provides stable economic, social, and legal systems that facilitates the efficient working of markets. Government promote equity in the distribution of output, and it establishes and enforces property rights, that is the right of individual businesses etc. to own and control the use of property, for example land, car, house etc. With little government intervention, competitive markets will work fine for most resources and goods and services. However, with many natural and environmental resources, the competitive market fails. It does not provide an optimum use of resources or production of goods and services. Now, what is market failure? Market failure occurs when the market system fails to provide an optimum for society. It can occur in resource and or product markets, and the reasons include no well-defined exclusive property rights are not enforced, and no market for exchange. And major types of these reasons include externalities, open access resources, and public goods. So we start with externalities. An externality is a positive or a negative effect of the actions of one individual, firm, or nation on another without compensation. Examples of negative externalities include smoking, pollution, noise, erosion, loss of habitat, scenery, etc. And a positive externality is include like education, research, vaccination, training, and so on. What is the optimum? What is the optimum amount of negative externality? Say, for example, pollution. There are many models used to discuss externalities. This one continues with familiar concept like marginal cost and margin revenue. New variations on costs, internal cost. That is, these are the private costs a firm has to pay, and then external cost of resource a firm uses but doesn't have to pay. No law, no laws, no enforcement, no well-defined or lack of property rights, and it is assumed that increased output means increased pollution. From society's perspective, all costs, that is social costs, should be considered in determining the optimum amount of output and pollution. See this graph. In this graph, horizontally we measure units of output and vertically we measure price in terms of dollars. The horizontal line shows margin revenue or marginal social benefit, and that is the demand curve a firm facing competitive market. And then the lower marginal cost curve is the marginal private cost or marginal internal cost, and the one in between the two curves is the three curves is marginal external cost. And if we sum up marginal internal cost and marginal external cost, then we have marginal social cost. So in terms of natural and environmental resources, we must consider marginal social cost instead of marginal internal cost. So optimum level of output and pollution. Optimum for the firm will be when marginal internal cost equals marginal social benefit. Optimum for the society means marginal social cost must be equal to marginal social benefits, a lower level of output and lower level of pollution. At lower levels of output, marginal social cost is less than marginal social benefit, so it's okay to increase output. At higher levels of output, marginal social cost is greater than marginal social benefit, so we may want to reduce output. Is the optimum level ever zero output? No. There must be some production and some level of output, but we must equate marginal social cost to marginal social benefit. So when the two are equal, then that will be the optimum level of output and pollution. Approaches to achieving optimum. The one approach is do nothing. This is usually done for minor externalities. And second thing is internalize externality, make the damaging entity responsible for cost. Education, only you can prevent forest fires. Investment, new technology, taxes or subsidies. Firm pays for externality or society pays to reduce the externality. Regulation, set limits on externality or specify production methods. Establish a market, tradable permits for emissions. These are the various approaches to achieve optimum. Many problems with identifying cost and optimum. Many polluters contribute, many costs, state, national boundaries, source of pollution uncertain. Many problems with identify social cost, that is many polluter contribute, may cross state and national boundaries, and non-point source of pollution. Open access resources, and then open access resources are those for which no property rights are specified, and they are not owned by anyone, and no one has control over their use. Example include ocean, air, etc. For these resources, property rights are difficult or impossible to determine. Problems are conflicts over the use of these resources, incompatible uses, and then excessive use by one group or another, that is, overfishing or overharvesting of timber. There are some other resources, common food resources, and tragedy of commons. If you want to read detail, there is the web link. You can read it. Then there are some alternative solutions. Again, do nothing, creative private property rights. Sometimes it may not be possible, and there are some alternative management approaches. Government management, typical of common property resources, common property resources in many countries, called public lands, timberland, rangeland, etc., managed by the government's agency, really owned by all Americans or are citizens of a country. Use becomes politically driven instead of market driven. Collective management, common property is property owned by a group or a community. To manage it, we need to determine a group to control the resource and a procedure to market decisions. Civic association responsible for green space or snow removal. Then public goods. A public good is a good or service that once it is produced or is available for everyone to use regardless if they pay to use it or not, use cannot be excluded. That is, it has two characteristics: non-rivalry in consumption and non-excludability. And best examples are national defense, lighthouse, education, and schools. Public goods are distinguished from private goods by two characteristics, as I mentioned, non-rivalry. Non-rivalry means consumption by one individual does not reduce the amount available for the other, and non-excludability means if the good can be consumed by one individual, then others cannot be excluded from consuming it. Many goods and services have some degree of these characteristics. Public goods have higher degree of both. Like examples, private good, a shirt, or a public good. Problems for the private market is that they cannot charge a price, have free riders, user that used the good or service but do not pay for it. Most public and quasi-public goods provided by the government, because private market system does not produce optimum output. What is the optimum amount of a public good? The determination requires the individual benefits by aggregated vertically and equated with cost. Individual price is impossible to enforce because of free riders. And how to pay for a public good, that is through taxes. Everyone pay direct and indirect taxes or user fee that can be used in some instances to recover cost. Here in this diagram you see there is optimum quantity that is equal to 3 and the optimum price is 5. And in the below to you diagram we have some of the demand curves of Benson willingness to pay and Adams willingness to pay to get collective willingness to pay in the upper diagram. And the intersection of the collective willingness to pay with the market supply curve gives us optimum quantity of Q3 and price $5. This is the summary. Natural and environmental resources have unique economic issues that must be considered for optimum use. For most resources, private property rights can be assigned and enforced. In general, the private market system properly allocates these resources to satisfy society's wants optimally. However, in case of natural and environmental resources, the private market system does not produce the optimum quantity. The market system fails. In these cases, the government needs to intervene. There are lots of examples, and this is how the economic system and the environment interact with each other. And it gets solar energy from the sun, and the environment provides various kind of resources, amenities, and so on, and life support services. And then the economic system also sends some heat, depreciation or depletion of non-renewable resources, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly subscribe to the channel by hitting this red button. Do not forget to click on the bell icon so that you can get notification about my other videos.